between you and I think Secretary Mnuchin. I mean, what deal can we have at Crazy Nancy? I'm sorry, that was the president. I have such reverence for the office. I would never use that term, but it is hard.
But you just did.
Isn't it? Oh, come on.
But you just did.
You know what I mean.
Was that not one of the cringiest things you've seen in a while? That was Jim Cramer on CNBC calling Nancy Pelosi, quote unquote, Crazy Nancy, live on air. And then he catches himself doing it and then tries to backtrack and say he's just paraphrasing Donald Trump and that he would never actually call Nancy Pelosi Crazy Nancy. And what Nancy Pelosi says, of course, is, well, you just did call me Crazy Nancy Pelosi live on air on, national television. It was just an awful display, and it's totally inappropriate. Look, I've been very critical of Nancy Pelosi, critical of her getting that haircut, critical of her and her ice cream fridges, critical about how she's done performative wokeness, critical of how she represents the neoliberal status quo and has really stopped the Democratic Party from fighting for real economic justice. I've been very critical of her, but this is totally inappropriate. No one in the media should engage in this sort of name calling. I don't care what network. If you're on MSNBC or Fox or wherever, you shouldn't be calling people names like this. You shouldn't be doing it. I don't care if another politician does it. You shouldn't engage in it and you shouldn't perpetuate it. This goes beyond, partisan politics. It's totally inappropriate. Totally 100% against what any respectable journalist should do. That's my view anyway. And trying to blame Donald Trump, I don't think is fair either, to be honest. Certainly, Donald Trump engages in a lot of name calling of all sorts of opponents. He did it back in the Republican primary, and he's done it to basically anyone that disagrees with him in public that has any sort of prominence. He'll find some name to call them. He'll call them crazy or lazy or sleepy or whatever. That's Donald Trump. It's not appropriate and I'm not excusing it. But just because Trump does something doesn't give the media the right to engage in it. And just because Trump has said it before, and I'm not defending Trump here, but just because Trump has said it before doesn't give Jim Cramer the excuse to blame Trump when he does it. Maybe Jim Cramer was trying to be cheeky and quote the president, but I don't get that sense. And maybe he internalized what Donald Trump has been calling his opponents, which is awful because that means the media is absorbing Donald Trump's insults and then sort of regurgitating them back on those people, and it poisons discussion and it distracts from the real issues at hand, because this was an important interview, an important discussion. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, I think a lot of people are realizing that there needs to be another round of stimulus to help the American people, and how this gets done is going to be crucial if it gets done. Right? And, having Jim Cramer on this interview distract the whole thing by calling her Crazy Nancy in the context of trying to get a stimulus package done poisons the discussion. 100%. I don't know what the recourse here is. I think, he sort of apologized ham-fistedly in that interview, but I really think that there needs to be a separate full-throated apology by Cramer, in a separate segment where he's had a chance to reflect on what he said and why it was inappropriate. I don't care if you like Nancy Pelosi or you hate Nancy Pelosi. I'm much closer to hating her than liking her. It's totally disrespectful and inappropriate for a journalist to talk to a politician like that. It should have never happened. It's not Donald Trump's fault. And Jim Cramer has to own what he did to embarrass Nancy Pelosi.